Good morning. Well, I couldn't let this season end without doing another religious show. And this is something that I question all the time. And I have a very good friend of this show. He's been with me from the beginning. And even when we disagree, we have remained good friends. And he actually, to me, is the only spiritual advisor that I have. His name is the Singing Chaplain. You may know him here from YouTube, the Singing Chaplain. And his name is Pastor Christopher Adams. And he's a wonderful, wonderful person. And he is one of the smartest people I've ever met, especially as far as religion goes. So today's show is Let Go and Let God. And too many people, in my opinion, put too much pressure on God, really. We put too much pressure on God, don't we? I mean, I remember a story from my little cousins. When they were 16, four of them were sent to Greece by themselves to meet relatives. They had relatives in Greece. And the one had never flown before, and she said to her mom, "Aren't you afraid that something's going to happen to me?" And her mother said to her, "No, sweetheart, I trust that God will protect you." And of course, I have to ask that lovely woman on the Southwest flight, like a week or two ago, who was the only one killed because she was sucked out the window because of where she was sitting. Why didn't God take care of her? She was much loved. Over 1,000 people came to this woman's funeral. She was a wife, a mother, a colleague, a friend. 1,000 people are missing her, mourned her loss. Can you imagine? 1,000 people coming to a funeral? I'd be happy if 100 people came to mine. Of course they won't, because mine's invitation only. But anyway, where was God for that lovely woman? Let go and let God. Does that mean we have no responsibility? That we simply say we're going to let everything up to God and we can do anything we want and He'll have our back? See, He's busy. Where was God on September 11th, 2001? Where was God on February 14th of this year in Parkland, Florida? Where was God when my mother was being killed? Where was God when my godmother was dying of cancer and died of cancer? Where was God? He was busy doing something else. We see people every day, and I get attacked every day by Christians when I question some things that they decide to do because they think it's God's will or that God will protect them, and they're making stupid decisions. They're making decisions they're being told not to do. I have tendonitis in my ankle. And I used to love to snow ski. Those who know me know how much I love snow skiing. I was up at Round Top every week. Every weekend I was skiing. I love to snow ski. But guess what? I have tendonitis in my ankle. There is no way I can shove my ankle into a ski boot and ski down a mountain for 4 to 6 hours. I can't do that anymore. But if I just let go and let God, well, maybe I can. I can go up to the mountain. I can ski down because God has my back, right? No, I'm going to break my freaking ankle is what's going to happen. I'm going to need surgery. You can't do stupid things and assume that God is going to take care of you. I love people who say, well, I'm buying a $500,000 house. Well, wait a minute. You only make $30,000 a year. How are you going to pay for that? God will provide. God will take care of us. Really? God's going to put a money tree in your yard and start growing the mortgage payment? I mean, really? You have no responsibility at all? And then they lose the house. Well, that was God's will. No, see, that was you being stupid. You didn't lose the house because God wanted you to lose the house. You lost the house because you thought God was going to pay for the house. And you were disappointed. Women who are told, don't get pregnant. You're going to have a risky pregnancy. You could die. The baby could die. The baby could be born with horrific disabilities. We're going to do it anyway. God will take care of us. We're going to get a miracle. We believe in miracles in this house. And they don't get a miracle. They don't. But they did it. It's God's will. And look, I respect people who truly believe that. I would love for 5 minutes to live in the body of a person who truly wakes up every morning and believes that everything will be beautiful because God is in my heart. God is going to take care of me today. I can go jump off a cliff. I'll live because God has my back. Oh, I have cancer in my ovaries. I don't need cancer treatment because I didn't have a baby yet. I'll just freeze the cancer in my ovaries so I can have a baby because God will take care of me. You know what? I wouldn't keep cancer cells frozen in my freezer, let alone in my ovaries. But some women will risk their own lives in order to have a baby and forego cancer treatment or surgery because they're going to have a baby. Something else I want to talk about while we're talking about babies, because I will say this. Good Christian people, every time I question somebody's choice to have a risky pregnancy or to put their life at risk to get pregnant, I get Christian people, Christians, who believe in God, call me a cold-hearted, barren bitch. How could you not have children? Your life must be so empty, you horrible, evil person. These are Christian people, by the way, attacking me for saying damn. I think I would prefer for the woman that I know and love to stay healthy and live rather than have her risk her life to give birth to someone I've never met. So I'm sorry if I offend you by saying if a doctor tells me don't get pregnant, I ain't getting pregnant. If a doctor tells me don't ski, I'm not going to go skiing. Okay? Just like I'm not going to jump off a cliff and assume that an angel or a unicorn is going to come up from God and carry me to the ground safely. That's not how it works. Chris, I hope you're going to chime in on this. I can't wait to hear your comment. It doesn't work that way. You know why I don't believe in miracles? Because 2 times, 2 people that truly deserved one didn't get them. My godmother, who was more pious and more godly, never cheated anybody, never lied, never stole from anyone, who loved God, trusted in God so much. She died when she was 66 years old, when her family, her grandchildren, her children, and her husband still needed her. She never cheated on her husband. And then we have Donald Trump. He's cheated on all of his wives, and he's over 70 years old. Now, whatever you think of Donald Trump, he has had all these blessings in his life, and here's my godmother, a truly Christian woman, a good woman, and she didn't get Donald Trump years. She didn't get her miracle. God was busy that day doing something else. My mother, where was God on April 12th, 2004, when my mother was being murdered by a novice doctor that nicked her bowel during a hernia surgery? Where was God? My mother, who served her church for over 50 years as a Sunday school teacher and the church organist, who gave money to her church every week, who prayed every night, not for herself, but for me, her daughter, for those that she loved. And before she went into surgery, who asked me to give her communion because the church that she gave her life to refused to because she didn't get married there, there are rules. She believed that God would take care of her when she went under anesthesia. and put her trust in the doctors. Where was God? I'm not asking for a miracle for me. My mother deserved the miracle. I don't ask for miracles for me anymore. See, God and I, we don't have that relationship. I understand that God is not going to take care of me. I have to take care of me. I married a man who can take care of me. I was very picky in my choice. I know that if I want something, God isn't going to give it to me. My husband and I are going to have to work for it, save for it. And I don't believe that everything good that happens to us is because of God. Just like I'm not allowed to say that everything bad that happens to me is curse God. Damn you, God. My refrigerator broke and my husband lost his job. Why, God? Why? See, that's the thing with God that also is a conundrum for political Paula. We're supposed to give him all the cred when everything's roses and unicorns. But the minute something goes wrong, we're not allowed to blame him. Now, that's not fair. Let me give you an example. If you work for a company and you have stock in the company and the CEO makes some stock decisions and you make a lot of money, for he's a jolly good fellow, he is your hero. You praise the CEO. Good for you. You just made some money. Now, go to the other side. You lose a lot of money. That CEO is a dog. He's worse than a dog. He's a pig. Fry him on a spit. He's a son of a bitch. You blame the CEO, right? Because he lost your money. Why are we not allowed to scream at God when a child is born and has a horrible birth defect? When a child is suffering from cancer, an innocent child who never did anything to anyone? Why can't we blame God? Why can't we say, dude, really? A little kid? When 20 innocent children are gunned down in their kindergarten class, where was God? Was he busy doing something else? Why did God need my mother? Why did God need my... pastors come up to you at funerals. People say, oh, they're in a better place. No, see, they're not in a better place. My mother belongs here on earth with me and my husband. My mother should have gotten to meet her granddog, Savannah. She never did. My godmother belongs here with her husband, her children, her grandchildren who need and love her, her sisters. They need her. That's where they belong. God has enough people up there to entertain him. Many taken too soon. He did not need my godmother. He did not need my mother. And why is it that there are people in this world who will thwart God? They will say God's will be done and everything is God's will and we're a Christian until something that is technically God's will messes with their plans. Now, go with me here. A woman goes to church every Sunday. All she wants is to get pregnant and have a baby of her own. But she's got a problem. Her reproductive organs aren't good for having babies. Now, isn't that God's will? God made her. That's how he made her. But oh, hell no. In this situation, screw God. I told you this is political Paula incorrect. Yeah, screw God. I'm going to go have fundraisers. I'm going to have other people pay for it. I'm getting in vitro fertilization. I'm going to have a baby. I don't care what God wants. Explain that one to me, please. Explain to me why, if you can't get pregnant because of some kind of an issue with your uterus being turned the wrong way or your cervix being, there's a word for it, I don't even know. It's kind of like a cervix that doesn't want to have a baby in it. or carry a baby. That's God's will. But you're not going to accept that, are you? You're going to say, I want to be pregnant, I want to deliver a baby, and I'm going to do it, and I don't care what God wants. Well, see, that's wrong if you're one of those let go and let God people. Because you're supposed to accept God's will even when you disagree with it. Am I wrong here, Chris? Chris, I know you're going to respond to this. I hope you do it on video. I love your videos. So I'm asking real questions here. I am not criticizing because, like I said, I would like to spend 5 minutes in the body of somebody who really believes that God is in charge of everything that happens to them and they have no responsibility whatsoever to even bother to take care of themselves. They're just puppets on a string. And God's up there in heaven just saying, okay, today you're going to have a good day, you're going to have a bad day. Well, it's all God's will. It was God's will that I took my family to the movies and a drunk driver hit us and all my children were killed. God's will. Really? I admire people with such faith. I really do. And some days I wish, and I talk to God every once in a while, I do. But usually when I talk to God, it's in the form of a question, like I'm debating God. I'm like, well, God, I just did a story on these kids from Parkland, Florida, and they were terrorized in their school, and a lot of them died, and they didn't even begin their lives yet. God, didn't you have plans for those kids? The kids who were taken from us, didn't you have plans? Couldn't you have done something? Your son, he helped crippled people walk, he cured blind people, all these miracles. Where was their miracle? Where was my mother's miracle? Where was my godmother's miracle? People ask me, you don't believe in miracles. I'm like, no, I don't, because I've never experienced one. Now, sure, I have seen beautiful things, but they're not miracles. I've never seen someone who was sick miraculously cured without suffering a hell of a lot first through chemotherapy. I've seen people cured of illnesses that they were told were going to kill them. But it wasn't like Jesus came down and said, you are healed. They had to go through hell to get well. And we don't even know if they're cured. Because again, once you have cancer, chances are cancer will end up killing you. I really do want answers to this. Please don't attack me. I'm asking real questions here. I am coming to you with an open soul. I want to know how you feel. If you're one of these people that truly believe that God has your back no matter what, are you going to go and risk driving off a cliff just to test that? Do you really think that you can do dangerous things and God will have your back? No matter what. That you're invincible. You have this shield of protection. And I'd really like to know, and I know Chris and I have discussed this before, but I do still question how we let our young people suffer the way they've been suffering. How we allow young children to die of cancer, to live in vegetative states where they can't walk or talk or feed themselves or go to the bathroom by themselves, and they're 20 years old. Is it a punishment? Because for some reason, these things seem to happen to really good people. And they have to live and suffer. And I ask why. And when somebody says to me, it's God's will, I say, you know what? Good for you, if that's what you truly believe. But I tend to believe that some things, a lot of things, that we contribute to God's will is just stupid things that we do because we want to. And we don't worry about the consequences. We want a big house. We want more children. We want to be pregnant for the first time, even though we have cancer in our reproductive organs. We want, we want, we want. And we use God as an excuse to go ahead with our plans, while it's very possible God has different ones. Political Paula, out.